You've been keeping your finger on the pulse of geopolitical dynamics in the Far Eastern Asian sphere near the beginning of this year, or more likely, you play this little-known video game called Honkai Star Rail. You know that certain political maneuvers have caused a little bit of tension between China and Japan. Around this time, many HSR players have received a notice that their newest location, Benzaiten Goku, was to be delayed for around 2 to 3 weeks. With the leak culture abound in this fandom pointing to this whole Japan-based region, it was the kind of coincidence that really wasn't going to be ignored. 2 to 3 weeks pass on by, we are now in Planarcadia, a place that distinctly isn't Japanese, but generically entertainment-based, with streamers, big glitzy advertisements, and a bunch of other in-your-face stuff. On point for the planet of elation, but very much lacking in that Japanese inspiration, at least at face value. However, 2 to 3 weeks of work is not enough to redo an entire several patches worth of exploration, story, characters, etc. Look a little closer at things, not that much closer, mind, and you start to see past the not Japan branded spray paint that Hoyoverse applied to everywhere. Let's take a look at our inhabitants of the world. Imagine, as they're referred to, are a common sight on Planarcadia, a species of creature born from the literal imagination and given life through wish power, a sort of belief-based energy system born of the planet's existence as one of the Elation strongholds. We're just going to rapid fire through all these real quick because the devil's in the exploration part of the game, not through the NPC models. The first you might notice are the burly and purple and green orch, named very similarly to the fantasy orc. You can probably guess, from our lens, this is the stand-in for the Japanese oni. Both fantastical creatures occupy a similar niche of colorful burly beasts in various depictions, and the two-tone skin color of the orch could refer to that popular fairy tale of the blue and red oni that you see in other Hoyoverse gachas. Think Yanagi and Sukaku, or whatever was going on in Ito's character's quest, because I haven't touched Genshin in like 5 years. Next on the menu are the Plues. You see those little yellow ducks walking around everywhere? As they're based on an aquatic creature, and as we'll see later on, let's just mark them down as a repainted and slightly remodeled Kappa yokai for the time being. We'll come back to this, promise. Look at the big robots marching down the street. These are your Mechatrons. You know, mechas. The big robot suits, calling back to series like Gundam. Now for the cat in the room, literally, Light Paws. Very stereotypical cat girls, possible relation to cat yokai, such as the Nekomata. Think SMT, if you were confused. Moonlulls, small rabbit humanoids. Explicitly from the moon, calls upon the Asian folklore of the moon rabbit. This mythology does originate in China, but most Asiatic countries have their culture originating in some parts from the country and diverge from there as time goes on. Furbos, your bestest of friends in this place. Tanuki-shaped, Tanuki-themed powers. When you do that one minigame of prop hunt with them every so often, they actually do have a little leaf glyph to expose them. Whew, that was a bit front-loaded, but we're mostly done here, so let's get going on to the meat and veg. Duo mentioned City, the massive advertisements on all the high-rises of media, of merchandise that quite literally scream in your face, reminiscent of Akihabara, all the vending machines of a certain design that litter the streets, 2 bridges spanning over a river that cuts through the urban sprawl, pedestrian paths over and following the shore, the several 7-Eleven stand-ins lodged into the walls. If that doesn't scream this greater Tokyo area to you, please take several minutes to go into a Wikipedia break. Following the road past the ginkgo trees and over the very familiar looking railroad crossing, we end up here at Graphia Academy. Brick exterior walls, a sliding metal bar gate for the entrance, lockers in the front room, orderly classrooms with a chalkboard at the front and large windows covering one of the walls. Very typical Japanese high school with your very own slice of life during one portion of the Planarcadia MSQ and staffed an enemy count by book schoolgirls, literally books, that fill in for that Sukaban archetype, which is basically a female hoodlum. It even includes a mysterious and evil hallway, harkening to those school urban legends you get to see so often in anime games, like Corpse Party. And this place is much inspired by anime tropes as much as actual Japanese life, let's not get confused here. Comes sweet with Talisman no Fudo locking down some cardboard boxes in this piece. In the main courtyard, a tree cut in the manner one would see a typical bonsai, and in the back, the ever-present world-breaker waves drawn by the famed artist Graphia. I shouldn't have to tell you what this references. Past the innocence of the school, the day quickly turns to night as the phantasmoon waxes dark onto the alleyways of the Dovebrook district. Drawing some inspiration from Kabukicho, or Kamaracho for those of a certain mind, the glitz and flashiness adorning the sides of buildings and neon advertisements as various drifters of the nights waltz on by brings on that glamour-filled 80s aesthetic of bubble-era Japan. Prime example, please see Yakuza 0. Complete alongside orc gangsters in cheap suits and roided-out plues and greased-up pompadours and even worse suits. See the Bosozoku subculture of biker gangs in Japan emulating American greaser culture. There's also the magical girl robots, but we can talk about them once we get to the not Skytree. Back to polite society now. Welcome to Parallax Tower. This is a hobby store for mechas. There's even a massive mecha hangar, dry dock, launch pad. You understand what I'm getting at. There's even a part with a miniature city for recording scenes for TV shows and movies, like how they did practical effects for Ultraman and Godzilla, where a big monster or a big superhero needed to stop whatever was stomping around. In the back, in Miss Pearl's chambers, are... Okay, let's start with the cutscene that plays when you first enter. You see those ink wash mountains following her calligraphy brush? Take a closer look once you get into the real game. A sand garden surrounding a platform with squared flooring, hosting a simple low table with a smaller calligraphy brush and a literal massive scroll extending down to the floor behind. You arrive off the Spirited Away tracks on your high-speed rail with a Japanese-designed interior to Seafeld City. It's a coastal fishing town, complete with something reminiscent of koi banners waving about the docks, alongside a shrine grounds in the back with a big tree. You know, could be pink, like a cherry blossom, but considering the existence of an ambrosial arbor on Planarcadia, I could excuse this as being separate and part of existing abundance lore for being yellow instead. A bit further down the road, you arrive at the Seafeld TV tower. Two main pods, those little bulbs you see on the structure that aren't just supports, culminating in a big antenna at the tippy top at around 632 meters according to this in-game diagram. Similar design to Tokyo Skytree, which is also a communication tower, with a main pod for all the broadcasting equipment and an observation tech. Protecting this place, aside from the usual IPC Megatron and various police dogs. Oh, hey! There are the real magical girls as security, complete with twin drills, frilly sailor uniforms, excessively bright pink, and a dip into the girl band genre with their saw blade guitars. Into the night we go, back through Seafeld City, onto the docks to board a ship towards the edge of reality. Floating wisp bay akin to water lanterns welcome you to Inkford Hermitage, a hot spring resort blanketed in soft white snow, and the last stop for past Imagine before they pass into the world of Canvas. Oh hey, there's a Kappa here! See, told you we'd be back. Look at the little guy. The models are literally the same, just without a beak and a little more green. In the back, behind the hotel, lies a quiet, solemn path lined with stone statues of monkeys, rabbits, frogs, and foxes reminiscent of the Jizo statue. Little stone statues made in the image of the Jizo Bosatsu, a guardian deity for travelers and children who have passed away. It fits as we arrive at the massive grove at the other end of the island, a tree adorned with paper lanterns surrounded by stalls, awaiting the final wishes of those who will pass on. And now, to where it all begins. The Phantasmoon Courtyard. A sapling of light-colored leaves awaits amidst an endless ocean. A sandbar of undisturbed grains, hosting the shrines that hold in place the measurements of the Phantasmoon game contestants. Each mast surrounded in a wreath of golden energy, and points represented a shape close to that of a magatama, a religious and ceremonial jewel from Japan. Alright, for now, that's really all the major things I could find that are very clearly Japanese-inspired design elements in the world of Planarcadia. I didn't cover World's End Tavern, since that's just a bar, rave club, theater, bathroom, ICU, that you could really find anywhere, and I didn't cover Lookout City Station, since that's really half convention, half theme park. Nothing, that you could say is like, oh, very obviously, this is Comic Cat, right? Like, this is very... Although there are a lot of anime references around. I'm sure I've missed some stuff here and there, and now that they've had some more development time, I hope you can make things a little less obvious, or pivot the story to put the more Japanese-based aspect into the whole world of Canvas thing that's buried into the current Planarcadia. Hi, I've been a bit busy recently playing, Destiny 2. God, that fucking sucks. Anyways, yeah, so I just got around to finishing about 3 patches worth of the new Planarcadia storyline. It was cool. It was good. It was very funny, putting all this shit out, but, yeah. Again, like and comment. Like and subscribe if you want to see more of this. Comment if you have any issues. But other than that, yeah, I will see you in 2 weeks.